Good morning, everyone. Video number one. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Brad Van Geest, and I am commonly known amongst all my friends as the Killustrator. So welcome to my YouTube channel. This is, as I said, first video number one for the day, and I'm hoping today that I can take you through a little bit about my process and some gesture drawing stuff that I've done, just to give you a little idea about how I'm doing it and what I'm doing it for. So for those of you who don't know, I'm an independent comic book artist. I am also a graphic designer and illustrator. I do this as a full-time job. And although it is not as lucrative as I would have liked it to have been, I do take some pride in knowing that I live my dream every single day of creating art, and the happiness that comes along with that is unmatched. So yeah, real happy with where I am. So the purpose of the video, as I said, a little bit of education, show the process. I'm hoping that over time I'll be able to throw out some time lapses for you once I get a little more used to all these different things that I'm doing and how it all works and how it all goes together. Hoping to do some tutorials for you guys as well. So I suppose I probably better do the obligatory like and subscribe if this is something that you might be interested in. But without further ado, I'm going to minimize this screen. I'm going to run you through a playback of a video that I recorded the other day, which is essentially me doing some gesture drawings for a comic that I'm working on at the moment. The comic is called Talos of Sparta. If you haven't heard of it, get onto it. You can find out more details at the Facebook site, Talos of Sparta. Also, comicstomovies.com.au. You can reach out to myself or Sean. You can get me through my socials, which will be linked by the time this video goes up. Also, if you feel the urge, comment, check out my socials as well. Without further ado, I'm going to hit the play button. So let's do this. So we've got on the screen right now, this is me. I'm working in Sketchbook Pro. So for those of you who don't know, Sketchbook Pro is a free program, and it's just got some basic tools. But the reason why I use it is because I just find it super easy and quick to get things done. So here I am just quickly. This is my first drawing of the day. And I wasn't really drawing with a purpose here. I was really just getting a feel for, how my body is moving, how I feel, how the pen's moving across the screen. And as I'm doing it, I'm sort of just winging it. There's no rhyme or reason why I'm doing the pose that I'm doing at the moment. I'm just literally trying to, get the feeling for how I feel on that day. Because if you're an artist, you'll know that there are some days where you just sit down in front of the screen and nothing wants to happen. You could sit there all day and no line wants to come out right. Nothing feels good. You're just pushing it all day long. And, so you want to try and get a feel for that. When you sort of start drawing first thing in the morning, especially if you're doing it digitally, and especially if you've literally just got out of bed and come straight to work from sleeping, you haven't, had a chance to move your body properly, you might be a little stiff, all that type of stuff. So if that does happen and you are feeling a little bit stiff and not comfortable in front of the screen, I'd recommend you actually, if you can, get out and go for a walk, do a little bit of exercise, get your body moving, get some blood moving through your body, get some warmth. Maybe some stretching if you need to. Might sound ridiculous to say that as an artist you might need to do these things, but reality is, unfortunately, that it's not a good thing for your body to be sitting in front of a screen for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, freaking however long you want to sit in front of a screen for during the day, and doing it all day every day. So yeah, try and do those things. Sometimes also, if I'm not feeling the greatest about the way that things are coming out of the pen, I'll do a couple of warm-up exercises where I'll draw a series of circles on the screen. I'll draw a series of lines on the screen and try to join the lines A to B and be as accurate as I possibly can as I'm throwing those lines. Sometimes I'll draw circles, sometimes I'll just squiggles, whatever it is that sort of gets me in the mood and gets me wanting to draw. So a little bit about what I'm doing now. Now I'm starting to really sort of figure out a little bit about the poses that I want to draw, and I'm starting to feel a little bit more comfortable with the way that the movements are flowing when I'm drawing and all that sort of stuff. So you'll see at the moment here I'm working on some poses for the hero of the Talos of Sparta comic, and his name obviously is Talos. And a little bit of anatomy. I'm hoping in the future that I can maybe do some tutorials for you guys on anatomy, understanding it, and how how to put it together, how it works when you're stretching it, squashing it, shortening it. Foreshortening is a big one that I get comments about fairly regularly from people about the fact that I do foreshorten quite well. I'm not Jim Lee or anyone like that, but foreshortening is a skill. While I think for me, it feels relatively easy and it's relatively basic. It's a skill that a lot of artists, especially when they're starting out, tend to avoid foreshortening. So if that is you and you're an artist and you want to get better with anatomy and foreshortening and understanding how the muscles work in relation to each other and how they layer upon each other and stuff like that over the top of each other when they are foreshortened, then do yourself a favor and get into a life drawing class. And what I used to do back in the day when I was studying is I would go into my life drawing class and I would deliberately pick the most difficult angle to draw the model from. Everyone else would try and pick the angle from the side, or whatever was easiest, standing dead straight on or whatever. But if the model was sitting, laying down especially, wherever I could set up the easel was usually the spot where I was able to get the most difficult angle with the most difficult foreshortening and the most difficult angles. So foreshortened legs, arms, facial features, all that type of stuff. So it certainly makes you a better artist when you challenge yourself, and makes you a little bit more competent when it comes to having to do it from your head. Out of your mind is the hardest thing. If you have to do a lot of drawings repetitively and really quickly, doing them and not having to rely on reference and all that sort of stuff is gold. And if you can do quick gesture drawings like what I'm doing now, as a way to figure out your posing and all that sort of stuff to get things right, it really will help things to come along a little bit better as well. So you'll notice that in the background, I did an original pose that I'd drawn, and then I just grabbed the soft eraser and rubbed it out, because I wanted to see what it would look like if I changed the way the arms sat, the way the legs sat. I wasn't particularly happy with it. Again, it's not, at this point I'm just exploring different things, and I'm sort of just working out in my head how to draw the things that I'm trying to put down on a piece of paper, or in this case a digital on the screen. It's one of the things, it's one of the things that as an artist I find challenging is when you work primarily digital, like the way that I work is primarily digitally. It's heaps faster, but the downside is that you tend to become a little bit lazy. And there's also the trap of, if you're using, like I'm using a Wacom 22 HD, which is now, well, at the time that I bought it, wasn't brand new technology. It had been around for a few years, and it's now 5 or 6 years since I bought it. And there is a reasonable convergence between, which is, I think that's the right term anyway, is the gap between the screen that you're drawing on, the surface that you're drawing on, and the actual screen underneath. And I do find that the disconnect will sort of cause me to sort of tend to throw lines 3 or 4 times sometimes to get the line right, because it's not as tactile, I suppose, as it would be if you're using a pen and paper or a pencil on paper. So you just got to be careful of those traps. And if you are one of those artists that sort of does feel like he's falling into that trap, or she's falling into that trap, then best thing for you to do is to go back to a pencil and paper. And it was years between me going from digital and realizing I had these issues to actually picking up a piece of paper and a pen again. There's a group of people that I catch up every couple of weeks who are all artists, and we all sit around in coffee shops and sketch, and that's been invaluable to my development as an artist. So wherever possible, I recommend that you do it. And it sounds trivial, but it makes a huge difference. So here, I touched on foreshortening before. So here, what I'm doing is I'm sort of looking at a pose of the hero crouched, but from a bird's eye view, so from the top. So which means that the body from above is being foreshortened. So again, I'm just laying it in really, really quickly. This is being played back at 1.5 speed, so it's slightly faster than how I would have done it at regular speed. But I'm just laying everything in sort of to try and figure out how everything overlaps. At the moment, shoulders, traps, collarbone just thrown in there on both sides, just pecs, just to see where everything sits and to make sure that I'm stacking it correctly. It's not a particularly good drawing by any means, but it is what it is. It's just roughing in some anatomy and some sketching, or maybe some possible shadows and stuff like that as well to see how they react. So that's like the quickest 10 minutes of my life, 8.5 minutes, 9 minutes of my life. That's the process, guys. That's just a quick insight on the first video of how I do what I do, how I'm sort of thinking and feeling while I'm doing those drawings. And that's a quick insight on gesture. So with gesture, to cover, you're not trying to do a finished drawing. You're just trying to create a feeling, create a pose, create action, feel what's dynamic. If there's one pose that you're working on, you might do 5, 6, 10 different versions of that same thing. But at the end of the day, that is a little insight into the process. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been a little scary and a little bit of fun on the first video. Now at 12 minutes, that went crazy quick. So for those of you, like I said, if you're not already subscribed and haven't hit the notifications so that the bell icon so you get notified when a new video drops, I'm trying to aim for getting one video out per week at this stage, which seems doable. And I'm going to also shoot for, if I can, some type of short film on the process of making Volume 2 of Talos of Sparta. Volume 1 went out at the start of this year. We've been attempting to get it out to everyone at the start of the year. I had some issues with the mailing out for people who are in-state and overseas. If you haven't already guessed, and if I didn't say it before, I'm based in Perth, Western Australia. Again, also apologies for the background. I know that the filing cabinet's not the most exciting thing to look at, but it's a work in progress. So hopefully soon I'll have a funky background for you guys to look at while I'm doing my voiceovers of the process. Thanks very much again for joining me. As I said, my name's Brad Van Geest. I am the Killustrator, and I am signing off. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon.